So I think I'm going to start this by saying my name is Tim and I'm an addict. And I say that because I need to remember exactly where I came from and who I am when I put drugs in my body. I'm not always the best person when that happens. You know, I spent a lot of time thinking about how I was going to start this and the things I was going to share. And I think that I just am going to go forward with this and be authentic. And some of the stuff that I talk about may be shocking. But I think that it's the best way forward is just to be honest and tell the truth, because for a lot of my life, I didn't tell the truth. And so I'm just going to tell you my story. My story starts, like a lot of ours does. I had a lot of childhood trauma. A lot of that trauma was sexual abuse. And, there were some men in my life that did things to me and my siblings that no one should ever have to experience. And those experiences shaped the way that I viewed myself and the way that I operated in my adult life. Those experiences taught me things like I needed to lie to people who cared about me, that I could use my body to get what I wanted, that love is sex and sex is love. And that really stayed with me through my whole life. When I first started using drugs, the first time I ever used drugs, I was 12 years old. Started out harmless enough, drinking and smoking pot. And then it graduated to popping pills. And then when I turned 18, I found my drug of choice, which is methamphetamine. And for the first few years of my addiction, when I found my drug of choice, my life was kind of manageable. I could show up to work, show up to family functions. I didn't have to do anything crazy to stay high. And then about 7 years ago, I was introduced to IV drug use. The moment I started doing IV drugs, all bets were off. I gave up everything in my life. I traded my house, my car, my relationship, my job. I gave up everything just to be able to shoot dope. And, there are a lot of things that I did in my addiction that I'm not proud of. Some of that includes like using dirty needles, introducing drugs to other people, which, I have a lot of shame and guilt around a lot of this stuff, and it's things that I'm working through in therapy. And, there's a bunch of different pillars of my recovery and, things like community and my housing, faith, things like that. I've been to rehab 9 times. Sorry if I'm all over the place, guys. I'm really, really nervous. I've been to rehab. Thank you. I've been to treatment 9 times, countless outpatients and detoxes. I've been to Dukoski Hall 4 times in the last 5 years, and Dukoski Hall is one of my most favorite places in the entire world. D-House, that's right. Where are my D-House boys at? Yeah, nice. I'm glad that you guys are here. If you're in a treatment center right now, you guys, I'm really glad that you got to come to this and get and see this message of hope. I've been to a lot of these messages of hope, and after every single one, I've gone up to Corey and said, I want to do the next one. And a big part of being able to do that was he wanted me to have a year clean. And I'm happy to announce that as of Monday, I celebrated 18 months clean. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long time coming. And, like I said, I've been battling this for 15 years, and I've been in and out of treatment, in and out of tea houses, the psych ward 4 times. In treatment, every time I've gone to treatment, it's been a super positive human experience for me. And I used to tell people that I loved going to treatment, and at the end of my using, that was part of the problem, is that I really enjoyed going to treatment. And I really enjoyed that because there was a community and a brotherhood, and everybody who's been to Dukoski Hall or any rehab knows exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the brotherly love, the connection, and the hope that you get from being in a place like that. Like I said, Dukoski Hall is one of my favorite places in the whole world. I'd gone to rehab numerous times, and, a big part of what I did, I lied to my therapist. For the majority of my life, I had to tell lies about my life to cover up things or to get you to feel bad for me so you'd let me use your drugs. I lied to my therapist only because I had told lies so many times that it was just my story at that point. I found my therapist, Matt. I don't think he's here tonight, but he was the first therapist I ever had that showed me what good help was and encouraged me to be honest. It really transformed my life when I decided I went from I want to beat this, to I'm going to beat this. It's all about mindset. And introduced me to recovery homes. And Marnie, she's here. She used to run the recovery homes. And there you are, Marnie. I have been let go from every single recovery home that I've ever lived in this town, except for the one I'm currently in. The farther and farther I get on this side of year clean, I get to experience what many of my friends that are here today got to experience with me. My cycle is I get clean, I go to treatment, I spend 30, 60, 90 days there. I get out and go to a recovery home, and within a few weeks, I'm high. And I remember the first time I did that when Marnie was running the tea houses, and I was so ashamed of everything that I had done and the people that I had let down. I remember I was sitting on the beach, and she was texting me, and she said, "I just want to make sure you're okay. I just want to know that you're safe." And a lot of my addiction got really bad after I started shooting up drugs. I did a lot of things to stay high, a lot of things that I'm not proud of. Some of those things are I used dirty needles. I didn't care who you were or how I had to get high. I just did it. And then another big part of the stuff that I did that I'm not too proud of to stay high was I engaged in prostitution. I traded sex for drugs more times than I can count. I didn't care who you were, what you looked like. As long as you could get me high, anything goes. And, when I was experiencing all that, zero self-respect, zero self-worth, zero self-esteem. And, there's a lot of repercussions to my addiction, and some lifelong repercussions that I have now is I was diagnosed with HIV. And when that happened, I was terrified and I was devastated. I remember when I got to the hospital, I was so sick, I had a rash and I couldn't move, and I got to the hospital, and the doctor took one look at me and he said, "You need to prepare yourself because you've either got meningitis or you've got HIV." And the second he said that, I knew that it was HIV because of the behaviors that I was engaging in, the unprotected sex, the dirty needles. I remember laying there in that bed, and I told myself, I struggle with mental health, I struggle with drug addiction, and now I have HIV. No one is ever going to want me. I'm disgusting, I'm dirty, I'm used up. And I never thought anyone was going to love me. I thought I was going to be alone for the rest of my life. And, today, HIV is not a death sentence anymore like it was 30, 40 years ago. It's a chronic condition, and as long as you take the medication properly, you remain what's called undetectable. And that means that it's at such a low level in my blood that it can't be registered on an HIV test, which also means that as long as I take my medication for the rest of my life, I can never transmit the virus through blood or sex. And, when we do grateful lists or people ask me what I'm grateful, I always say modern medicine. Always, 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 because without it, I would have a death sentence. And there's somebody very special to me in the audience today who, when I got diagnosed with HIV, I don't want to cry, told me that it was going to be okay. This is somebody who I used to get high with, who has showed me, he held the door of recovery for me open at every turn. He was my first sponsor, and I just want you guys to give it up for Jeff Lang. Jeff has been a very important part of my recovery. He has, every time I thought that I couldn't do this or that it wasn't worth it, I always looked at the life that Jeff has today. And, he was one of the people who showed me that this is possible and that recovery, is a journey. It's not, it takes a while. And there are a lot of things that I'm super grateful for that he taught me. And I'm really proud to call you my friend, and I love you. I do. When I talk about the things that keep me clean, there are different pillars of my recovery, and one of them is spirituality. And for most of my adult life, I put it on the back burner, and I decided that I didn't need a higher power, that God wasn't it, and that I didn't need it, and until I finally surrendered to the idea that I needed spirituality in my life. I'd get a few months clean, and then I'd relapse, and I'd relapse, and I'd relapse. And, today I have spirituality in my life. My higher power I choose to call God. I don't always agree with a lot of mainstream Christianity, but I definitely agree with being Christ-like. And I definitely aspire to live the way that he lived. And, when I went into treatment this last time, I went to Great Lakes in the UP, and we would go to church twice a week. And I went every single time, and I worshiped with them, and I paid attention. And my cup is so full when I go to church, so full. Like I said, I don't always agree with everything that Christianity has to offer, but it has helped me immensely stay clean these 18 months because without it, I don't think I'd be clean today. I have some really wonderful people that introduced me to God. My friend Shannon and my friend Autumn, they're not here today, but I'm going to be forever grateful for them for showing me the way and opening the door. I can't speak enough about how grateful I am for them. Like I said, I've been kicked out of most of the tea houses in this town, and my last shot for recovery homes in this town was Project Unity for Life. And I know a lot of you have been there and you know what it is. And it's not like any other recovery home that I've been to. We're a brotherhood. We're self-governed. We vote the guys in. We drug test each other. And I wouldn't be sitting here today with 18 months clean if it weren't for the men that I have in my house. I've lived with a lot of people in this room. Where are my Unity boys? Anyone that's been at Unity, raise your hand. Nice. Yeah. I absolutely love Project Unity for Life. It's a really great program. I encourage you, get a Project Unity for Life application from your therapist and get it turned in. I'm super proud to be, first off, I want to say that we are extremely lucky to have what we have in Traverse City. I grew up in Cadillac, and 10, 15 years ago when I was going to meetings, there were like 3 NA meetings a week. Here in Traverse City, we have 3 NA meetings every single day, 365 days a year, and we have marathon meetings over the holidays. A big shout out to Narcotics Anonymous. That's another pillar of my recovery that I would not be here without, and that's just NA stuff. That doesn't even include all the AA stuff that goes on, and I think it's pretty even with what we have going on. I have hundreds of friends today that I know would do anything for me. It gives me an opportunity to be part of a community that the recovery community is the only community I've ever been a part of where the love is unconditional. It's pure and it's true. And I absolutely love being in Traverse City and being part of Narcotics Anonymous. We do a lot of fun stuff. We go out to eat and we do home group challenges and we have movie nights and Christmas parties and the Halloween dance on Saturdays coming up. I encourage you all to go. Yeah, heck yeah. It's one of the biggest and best events that we have all year long. And there's a lot of people that I've met through Narcotics Anonymous that have inspired me. And I'm a person who has come and gone a lot. I am not a slow burn type of person. I will. A lot of people say like, oh, I stopped going to meetings and I stopped going to therapy and then I relapsed. I will do all of those things. I'll go to a meeting, I'll go to therapy, I will, go out to dinner with everyone, and then in a split second, I will use. And that has been my story for so many years. I'm super, super proud of myself for breaking that cycle. 18 months is thank you. The most I've ever made it before this time was, I think, about 8 months. Something that I lied about is when I got that 8 months, when I had 3 months, I actually relapsed, and I didn't tell anyone that I did it. And that was a big part of why I used again, because I knew I was lying to everybody. I was living a lie again, and I hate living that way. When I use drugs, I'm not part of my family. I don't talk to my friends. I get sick. I've had so many infections. I lose weight. I'm 90 pounds and gross. And another big part of what happens to me when I use drugs is I hallucinate. And for a lot of my adult life, I thought that there was some mental health stuff going on other than the drugs. Wouldn't you know it, once I stopped doing drugs, I stopped hallucinating. The way I used drugs over the last 15 years, it was constant, always, all the time. And it takes a lot of toll on your mental health to hallucinate as often and as long as I did. Up until this last time that I got clean, the voices would tell me things like, we wish you'd get better, and like, why are you doing this to your family? And we just want you to get better. It was always the voices of my family. And then this last time that I relapsed, I don't know if it was the drugs that I was doing or thought that I was doing. You know, I get to rehab and I take the urine screen and I'm dropping dirty for drugs that I didn't think I was doing. It's a really, really dangerous time for drug addicts right now, between the fentanyl and the xylazine and all the other experimental research chemicals that are going around. It's really terrifying. And I'm certain that if I went back to shooting up dope, that would happen to me, that I'd get a hot shot and I'd be dead. You know, every time I shot up, I knew that was a possibility. I didn't want to die, but I definitely didn't care if I did. And that's a really horrible thing to do to the people who love you. Most of my family has been super supportive of me in my journey. My sister especially, she's the person whose couch I end up on when I'm detoxing and waiting for a bed at treatment. And it's really taken a toll on her to see me go through that. It's been a big taking a toll on my parents. Something that I'm not proud of is one time I needed to go to treatment and I didn't have Medicaid, and I begged my grandparents to pay so I could go because I thought I wasn't going for myself. I thought that if I went, it would save my job, it would save the relationship that I was in, it would fix everything. And I walked into that treatment center and I lied and I lied and I lied, and it didn't fix anything. And I still have a lot of shame and guilt around taking that money from my grandparents. And I'll never forget my grandma crying and saying, please don't ever do this again. Please don't ever do this again. You know, my family doesn't have to experience that anymore, and I don't have to be that person anymore. Thank you. So once a month on a Wednesday, I go into Dukoski Hall and I talk to the guys and I tell my story. It's a part of H&I for Narcotics Anonymous, and it's my favorite day of the month. It absolutely fills my cup up like nothing else. And yeah, there's a bunch of guys here. I think I went last week and talked with you guys. Thank you for coming. You know, there's a lot of things that I do in recovery today that keep me clean. And going to Narcotics Anonymous meetings and showing up at the events and going to Dukoski and talking to the guys, you know, that's all part of the things that keep me clean. And I remember being in Dukoski Hall and sitting in those chairs and seeing the guys from NA come in, and I would just be in awe, and I would think, I'm going to be that someday. I want to be that. You know, I'm finally at the point where I believe that I can be that. You know, I'm somebody who, for the last 8 years or so, couldn't hold a job for more than a few weeks. Part of that is because, you know, when I start a job and I work and I become someone they depend on, I don't want to let anyone down, so I just never tried. Currently, I work at Hungry Howie's. We are a recovery-friendly workplace. I took the training with Corey and Marnie, and I am fortunate enough to have some really wonderful bosses who care about my recovery and care about the recovery community. And I supply a lot of the pizza to a lot of the events, and a big part of that is thanks to my boss. She's wonderful, and she has been super supportive of me. And I think that's really important for your employer to be supportive of your recovery if you're going to be successful. Some big news. As of last week, I was promoted to general manager of our new store in Chum's Corners. Thank you. It's been a lot of really hard work. And when I first started at Hungry Howie's, I was, I think, 2 months clean. And they immediately asked me if I wanted to be a manager, and I was going to turn it down because I thought, oh, sorry, shouldn't swear. I thought, you know, I am not going to be able to stick around. You know, I'm probably going to get high again. I had zero self-confidence. You know, I took the job because it was more money. And I've been working really hard this last year. I have a lot of management experience from McDonald's. It was my first job. I worked there for 8 years. And I've really grown to love my team and the store that I work for. And I'm really super proud of my employment. You know, I bought a brand new car, not a brand new car, but the newest car I've ever owned a couple months ago, and I'm super proud of that. I have a relationship with my family today, which is something that I haven't had. I get invited to family functions, and they know that I'm going to show up. I was invited to my cousin's wedding a few months ago, and I went to North Dakota, and I spent a whole week with my family, and they were super supportive. I wanted to do that because A, I wanted to take a vacation and use my PTO, which I got to do. And B, it's because I really, really, really wanted to show my family, my extended family that don't see me all the time, how good I'm doing. And I know that trip, I had nothing to prove, but I did have something to prove. because for the last 8 years, I sat on the other side of a bathroom door or a bedroom door during Thanksgiving and Christmas and shot up dope. Couldn't even get it together for an hour to spend with my grandparents. And my grandparents are getting older. A few of them are pretty sick, and I don't have a lot of time left with them. And I have made it my mission over the last year and a half to make sure that I see my family, that I'm an active part in my family. And I get to do that today because I'm clean. You know, I have a relationship with my mom today. It turns out when you stop using drugs, you have all this patience and this compassion for people. And my mom has spent a lot of her life sick with mental illness. And, you know, there were a lot of things that happened when I was a kid that didn't allow me to be a kid. And, you know, what I've learned from going to rehab so many times and being in therapy is, you know, all these people that hurt me or wronged me, they're sick too. And I have to remember that, and I have to have forgiveness for that. And, you know, forgiving somebody doesn't mean that you have them back in your life or you condone what they did. You know, it's a little bit of peace for you. It's just one of the things that I've learned being in recovery. You know, it's because I got tired of living the way that I was living and being sick and disappointing my family and hurting my friends. And, you know, I did all those things, and I have regret for those things, and I look back on it now and wish I hadn't done it. I have a lot of friends right now that are actively using, who have disappeared, and these are people that I consider family. These are people that I, you know, got clean with, that I've been recovering with, and it really breaks my heart to see some of these, especially these men in my life that I used to look up to when I got clean, and they're out there using right now. And if you're a praying person or whatever you believe in, you know, pray for these people, because it's I'm really scared for them, and that's you know, it weighs heavy on my heart every single day. But it's a really good reminder of what I don't want to be and what I never want to be again. Yeah, I'm super grateful to have all this clean time, and I'm super grateful to have been able to come here. And I think that's all I got. Thank you guys.